But I also think his MF game was decent the game before. And it was a really tough game to play it, where they had, you know, MF throwing her ult on top of you. There's a Malphite. There was a Sylas who could take your Amumu's ultimate. And he still managed to find opportunities to get good ultimates off. Like, he was actually really smart about his positioning in a game where it felt borderline impossible to play. So I understand, not only just as a power pick for Udapon, like you're saying, but even saying, like, hey, even though they didn't win that game, that was a pretty gross doggo MF, and we don't want to give them that.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you have to pick your poison with doggo, and I guess Ezreal is the least threatening thing, but we'll see. I think, like, as you said, he looked very good in it yesterday, but I think it is a champion you can try and at least, you know, get ahead in lane, and that does seem to be a DFM plan that they're comfortable with. We saw Emily actually just highlighting what Evie's Urgot did, teleporting down to that bottom lane, basically breaking that Aphelios getting wide open for Udapon. So, that is a lane they're very comfortable playing to, especially if Udapon and gang kind of feeling it in whatever 2v2 they pick. Sylas, though, is the last pick here for Beyond Gaming. It's followed by Leona and Lilia, who is seeing way more presence than I thought she was going to see. I'm guessing it's a jungle, but I guess you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's jungle as well. She did, like we kind of hit on yesterday, get some buffs. You know, base regen's down, but more healing off the camps and stuff like that. Her move speed's a little bit, the buff lasts longer. And so, you know, not surprised to see her picked up a little bit. And early on, like this, you know, trying to match junglers, there were a lot of 80 junglers still up. I think this telegraphs a little bit about wanting some melee or at least physical damage solo laners for the side of DFM, and especially into Sylas. You know, you often see those kinds of things. We already have seen the Yone counter pick before. I believe that was Moen who actually played that one. So now on the Sylas side of the matchup, we'll see if they can. There's the ban, as I was about to say. You know, these Beyond Gaming's like a second ahead of me every single time. I hate it. Stop. I'm trying to sound smart here. Now I look like I'm just copying what they're doing.
No, you're all good. Go in there, the ban for DFM. One more to come here. It looks like solo lanes are going to be the target here, which again makes sense, kind of given how things are shaking out. Definitely very, at this point, fairly standard. Lilia may be the only standout, but we've seen these 5 champions all tournament long so far, so not too surprising. It's interesting to see Sylas continue to be a very common, like, first round blind mid.
Yeah.
But I think he's just at the level where people are very comfortable playing with him, regardless of what ultimates you have available.
And especially on red side, given that on your third rotation, you can ban out those 2 kind of counter picks or whatever you don't really want to play into, which you see there with the Irelia and the Yone ban. So a little bit of protection thrown his way. People aren't quite, even though he seems really high priority in terms of presence, you know, he's not getting first rotation. He's not given the ability to be counterpicked in the first phase, because people do respect the fact that his laning phase is a little bit exploitable, and you don't want to end up behind and with no good ultimates to take.
Alrighty, well, Amumu is back on the board here for Keynote. Had a decent showing in that same game, I believe, against the terror of the Cloud9 Malphite. But again, like, just kept getting picked on. Definitely Amumu is like
he had a tough game.
Yeah,
you know,
feast or famine kind of support almost.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see a bounce back. I think, you know, that was just a situation where they identified him as someone they could pick off a bunch. But the Amumu, I believe, still winless.
I think so.
I might have missed one earlier in today.
Yeah, have to double check this morning's games.
Yeah, but either way, struggling to find the wins on it, but still a power pick. Yep. It's going to win. I swear to God, it's going to win a game. It's not going to be a winless at Worlds, guys.
I mean, they keep picking it, so at this point, it does feel like at some point the champion is going to kind of demonstrate why it's been so popular, because, you know, you don't pick it to lose, that's for sure. But Akali is a nice one. This is some really powerful solo laners here out of the Detonation FocusMe side. Evie back on the Urgot, and Arya taking to Akali for the first time this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Akali is a very fun champion to watch. Did get a couple little changes, getting a small health increase in regeneration as well as growth, health regen growth. So, you know, she was always a champion that the way her play pattern worked was often like you take like a D shield and you would kind of just try and sustain through lane early on, eat your harass, you know, use fleet footwork to try and heal up a little bit through the laning phase. And with all the nerfs that have come in over time, they're putting a little bit more back into that sustaining through the early game focus for the champion.
Now I'm trying to remember which patch they buffed fleet on. There's so many. I've read so many patch notes in the last week. But that way, if that is in the mix here of you know, patches leading up to this tournament, that would help her as well. You have to match up kind of close pro. Although I think Sylas, it's funny, like, people typically consider Sylas as like a counter pick that people are comfortable playing into Akali. But I feel like what mostly ends up happening in those lanes is like everyone just farms it out, and then like Sylas steals a cool ulti. Like, like you don't actually really have much pressure. It's just you're just trying to farm in this melee matchup.
Yeah, and I feel like Akali has more power. I was talking about a lot of her laning phases about sustaining. That's mostly in range matchups. Here in a melee one, against Sylas in particular, she should be able to land quite a bit of harass and have priority in the lane phase. And then it's about winning those 2v2s because both of them have a lot of outplay potential, which also means you can whiff your abilities and get outplayed horribly as well.
All right, last pick, just to make sure we get it in there, was Aatrox actually there for Beyond Gaming. That is going to be the top laner of choice to go up against the terror that is Evi's Urgot. He has lost on Gnar, but won on Urgot. So for the Detonation FocusMe fans out there, Evi certainly feeling in a comfy spot here, but this is a matchup I feel like we saw a lot of when these champions were in vogue. So we'll see how it shakes out, but I feel like any lane where Urgot gets ahead is a good time for Urgot.
Yeah, Urgot, he's always in that bruiser category, despite being ranged about. You know, you have a good combination of utility as well as just carry potential if you get ahead. If you fall behind, you know, at least you have your ultimate ability, and if you can get that onto a target, get a flash fear in, and actually have a team fight presence. But it's been a while since I've seen the Urgot Aatrox matchup. There was a time where this was one of the key matchups, but they both kind of fell out of the meta for a little bit, and now seeing it again, I wonder if the changes that have come through with all the champions items, if it's still, I believe it was a little Aatrox favorite back then, if I remember correctly, but we'll have to see.
We shall indeed. I also love that both teams tried kind of a different version of the same level 1. Just like moving up, stacking in a brush, but not overcommitting. Basically trying to catch the other invader, felt like. But they will pass by each other, and we'll have the junglers start off on whatever sides they're looking for. Does appear to be red side here for DFM, and looks like Husha is pathing to his own red buff. So it's going to be opposite side starts here as Arya going to escort these minions into mid.
Also worth noting, Arya going for Conqueror as the keystone, not the fleet footwork despite the buff. It wasn't super substantial. I was just looking up quick. It was just some healing for champion hits on it, and to reduce some of the healing off minions, which for a champion that wants to sustain the lane sometimes not the case. And like we said, this is a more aggressive matchup for the Akali. You can actually win this one. You're not just trying to survive early on. So I definitely like the more combat-oriented rune choice. For
sure, and you can see Moan going with the same choice. Again, going to be like lots of scraps in this kind of matchup. You're going to be hitting each other a lot, so Conqueror definitely makes sense. It has been a mainstay for these two champions for a little while, as top lane going to be the fun start off here. Evi trying to get it done early on, at least, up against Liang. But it really does feels like every Aatrox matchup eventually comes down to the same thing, which is how many times did I hit you with my Q?
The Q minigame?
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
That is actually brutal there for Moen. Does have some potions, but that's quite a lot of harass to take.
Yeah, the E on Akali is such a disgusting ability with how much damage you can do if you get both procs of it off, and you see right there some great trading by DFM solo laners. Both of them early on getting huge health leads. Evi hits 2 early on and then is able to go onto Liang, gets the flip back from his E. And tough spot to be in now.
Yeah, that was a great little juke on the Q as well, just not letting Liang trade back any damage at all. So bottom lane is the next place we'll visit, and we definitely have seen Ezreal get aggressive here. Doggo does want to try and play up. You are loath to concede a lane as Ezreal, but because it's so much easier, as you said yesterday, actually, Mark, to to get your skill shots in when they're being pushed in under their turret, but not always something you get to do. Ezreal often kind of has to concede to whatever pressure is happening, although Husha is actually coming down here for a little wraparound. Might be tough for MF, is not the most mobile champion, does have flash though. Now going to move in. Udapon going to have to get out of there. Good flash. Gengo gets stunned, but now they're going to turn it back around. It's another TP. Everyone's again's coming in hot, and now Husha, he's ignited, and that's looks like first spot on my screen. In fact, it is. Udapon is going to have it happen again as Moan comes in, but Arya comes through as well. A second blood on the table. Udapon collects it again, and now Arya looking for Kino. Not going to take it, but I'm getting deja vu, Mark.
Yeah, second time in a row, the Evi Urgot TP play, the bot lane, turning it around for his team. Again, his opponent top laner had burned teleport. Doesn't seem like Beyond Gaming was aware that Evi was in a position where he had TP advantage. You can come down on that play, and so despite it looking initially like a good wraparound gank to at least force some summoners, DFM's able to collapse with more men quicker, and they turn that one around. And again, it's because Evi, like we saw with that trade, got such an advantage that Liang had to take that early recall TP back to lane, and that just opens up a window for Evi to exert his influence.
All right, this is just so nicely done. Udapon's like, he knows what he has to do. He's out of there.
Yeah, I mean, DFM, I feel like we're pretty well coordinated here. Like, that TP by Evi is very quick. As soon as Amumu's bandage crossing in, you basically have him starting that teleport. I wonder if they were aware, like, hey, we have TP advantage, let's beta fight bot. I mean, that could easily have been the call because the rest of the team was pretty well prepared to match. And I like how Arya basically was just following the stylus as we get the expected Evi pop-off cam at this point.
I love it. It's my favorite cam. every time that every reaction came, good or bad, I feel like, although it's much better when he's happier, is a treat. And unfortunately for him, unlike the last time this happened, he doesn't have 3 kills or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But still 2 assists is going to give you a nice boost of gold. Didn't really lose much as far as farm went anyway, just walks back to lane, is, you know, barely a wave behind and will be able to catch up pretty easily. And now this time it's Yutapon that is massively accelerated in his 2v2.
Yeah, picking up those 2 kills is huge, and we talked about, you know, Ezreal wanting to be able to get the push a little bit. Not going to be the case, especially with MF picking up the double buffs from the kill on the Xin Zhao, and like you said, already having a serrated Dirk and 2 more longswords in her inventory. This is going to be such a strong MF. You can expect to see more focus in the bot lane. I think once one of these lanes gets rolling that hard, you want to keep exploiting that. And so at 6, I expect another dive down there if they can unlock the Akali, and Steel can get down there as well.
No level 6 for either mid laner here, but Husha could be in trouble. Steel no ulti, but Evie once again rotating through. Nice cues there from Steel as Moan's actually fighting Arya. That's not a fight they're winning. In fact, they're losing on both fronts here for Beyond Gaming, and that is just such a nice setup there. Evie once again is setting it up, and he's going to knock down that second kill. A double in topside this time.
Oh, DFM are popping off 4-0 in about 5 minutes into the game. That was an aggressive invade by Husha, and Steel is able to show the power of the Lilia. The chase down by landing the Swirl Seed, being able to get your Q stacked up. You start moving so fast, they have no chance to get out. And it is a long, long journey to safety from the enemy Gromp to a turret.
Alrighty, well, like you said, things definitely going well down the bottom side. I believe this is our first time with Lethality MF. Ghostblade has been pretty popular on her in general. We have seen it already in the tournament, but I don't think we've had an MF game where she's gone Ghostblade first, and I think just given the texture of how this game is going, I mean, they're almost 3,000 gold ahead at 8.5 minutes. I think Yutapon's more than happy to take the snowball item here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's kind of build whatever you want. I'm probably not going to criticize it as long as it has AD on it. Maybe you build Leandrius at this point. I don't know. Have some fun. I do think with how the game is right now and the fact that there's not that many pure tank targets, you know, the lethality build would normally be pretty defendable in this spot, but especially when you're snowballing this hard, you know, your double up and some of the just trading patterns you'll have will do so much damage.
Alrighty, so like I said, very big advantage built here early by DFM. Steel's going to go ahead and take this top side Crab. Already has the Steel Caps up and has Predator as well, so with level 6 for the Lilia, significantly more threatening now in any sort of invade or gank situation. So, you know, Steel went from kind of, you know, mostly farming and deflecting Husha's invades to now having options to get really aggressive. In fact, that CS differential in jungle is kind of absurd for how early on in the game it is.
Yeah, I mean, Lilia is just a generally fast-clearing jungler, not just damage-wise, but with that move speed buff that we're talking about. Like, you just zip through your camps. The fact that Husha got killed in his initial gank attempt, you know, it's going to set him behind. Then killed on his invade. It's just a tough spot to be in.
Nice Hex Flash. Kino locked up there. Perfect stuns back-to-back. It's just so easy. A movement shredded to bits as Yutapon finds kill number 3.
God, I have this, like, a movement point that I've been sitting on for a couple games, and I'm just never going to get to make it because every time he gets slammed. I feel so bad for him, but, you know, this is the trouble that comes in with the champion. He just doesn't have that many escapes and defensive tools, and so if you fall behind, he is one of these kind of quote-unquote feeder support champs where you're supposed to be the frontline engaged for your team, but you don't really have the stats to back it up.
Oh, that is brutal. Doggo not going to get re-stunned. Good cleanse to get out of the Zenith Blade at the end of it all, but Steel now up to the top side of the map. This looks very tricky. Liang does have flash, going to have to use it. And Steel doesn't want to commit his to try and get the follow-up, so they'll just let him go.
DFM forcing summoners all over the map right now. Gang having a really good game on the Leona. A lot of these plays being keyed off of him. The kill on Amumu, the cleanse on the Doggo, all that stuff. From the support that everyone was hyping up coming into this tournament. Like, this is the big change for DFM's roster. It's why a lot of people were saying if they're going to top the group, it's going to be some of the changes that come in with the support that they wanted to play with the whole time, but couldn't do until the import situation changed with their roster. And now he's here, and he's showing why people were hyping him up.
Yeah, Kang has been real good. Was on Thresh yesterday. Leona looking just as accurate with the skill shots. Arya dancing out of trouble there in the Shroud, but is going to be A-OK. This did mean Steel's attempt in top lane. I should say that, of course, Beyond Gaming do get the first Dragon, but I think DFM are happy to give it up here. They'll take the Herald. At this point, they're the team that's more than happy to trade, you know, a little bit of their tempo for gold because they are just looking to snowball this game as hard as they possibly can. I mean, this is a monstrous early game. We're not even 10 minutes through, and if these plates go down, topside, we could be looking at 4, maybe 5k depending on how much damage they could get done.
Yeah, I mean, DFM have a relatively early game focus comp. None of their champions scale exceptionally well, especially when you look at some of the champions on Beyond Gaming side. You're going to think that they'll be a little bit better in the mid to late game, but with this much of a lead, they're in a great spot.
Are you kidding me? How did they even get that Ezreal? Doggo forced to flash. Gang again, having the setup. Moance is down here teleporting. It's a 4v2 and they're leaving. They're leaving the bottom lane.
They have to spend so many resources just to survive these situations. You have to get the flash out of Doggo. Well, they would keep chasing him down probably in a 2v3 situation if you didn't TP Moance. So, you know, even though it looks like, oh, that was for nothing, I mean, maybe it saved his life. It's hard to say because this is just doing everything they can to stem the bleeding on Beyond Gaming side.
Yeah, out of summoners down in the bottom lane, at least for Doggo. So the next time Gang hits a somehow miraculously accurate skill shot, going to be even easier. Steel is lining up something spicy here, though. I think Evi's actually the one to try and make sure this can happen. Now they move in. No flash, as we noted before. Swalsey does hit. Drowsy is good. Evi puts him in the blender, flips him back over, and Liang is absolutely dead.
And there Evi goes, getting the meat grinder going on Aatrox. Nice setup by Evi, or sorry, excuse me, Steel. The Swirl Seed splash on the minion still hitting. Liang behind it was pretty clutch. And there we go, MF getting her.
Ooh. Straight for Eclipse.
Yep.
Don't need to stop it, Ghostblade. That is, that's terrifying. I mean, Doggo's like barely survives in the bottom lane before. He's now no longer
doing
surviving.
true damage on Q.
Yeah.
It's a tough spot to be in for them.
Well, we'll see what happens. As you said, there is definitely room here for Beyond Gaming. This is a tragic early game if you're them. For DFM, they're super happy with how it's going, but we have seen the power of Doggo's Ezreal before. It is a lot to ask of him right now, but if they can stabilize the game, if they can keep this dragon count up, there is always hope here for Beyond Gaming to get back in. It's just trying to minimize the damage you've taken at this point, because this laning phase is only going from bad to worse.
I feel like in the lane is when it's really actually more difficult almost to make a lot of plays from behind, because it's harder to get numbers advantages while people are still locked to lanes without TP advantage being in your favor. If the enemy jungler's bot lane and your jungler goes bot lane, then it's just a 3v3 and you lose. And there's more kind of these set plays. Beyond Gaming right now, I think, are in damage control until the turrets inevitably drop on DFM side. And then they do have playmaking tools, whether it's the Sylas, the Amumu, even the Xin. You know, they can potentially try to start picking people off in side lanes and stuff, because I expect DFM to end up in a 1-3-1 lane setup with these solo laners. So, you know, right now you're just trying to stem the bleeding until you can start finding pickoffs.
Oh, that's a rare miss from Gang on camera, as Kino is actually going to go back in. He's got the ulti ready to go, but bullet time going to make Moan's life miserable. Now DFM are going to escort their support out safely. And unfortunately for Beyond Gaming, I'm not sure there's a re-engage. Husha looking for the angle, doesn't even find the W for the potential follow-up. So Beyond is going to have to be content with that.
Yeah, it looked like a little gun-shy potentially for Beyond Gaming. I know you don't want to chase into an MF ultimate, but Kino had ultimate there. I think he had probably his second charge of bandage toss. I feel like you could have locked Gang up enough to get that kill, and that would relieve a lot of the pressure, because there was a Rift Herald in the mid lane. You know, maybe you can actually get your own red buff if the enemy team has dead members on their side. So it just felt like maybe Kino could have pulled the trigger on that one, and you do eventually need to. You can't just hope that DFM turbo wins it into you. Like, you have to take a risk at some point.
This could be problems here. Evi lining up the ulti, finds it long range. Husha's just gonna get blended. It's not enough yet. The dot can't quite tick over, so Husha will escape this time.
Oh god, the Xin ult coming up clutch there. I think if the red buff burn from Steel, as well as the just dots that come with Lilia's kit, were allowed to tick, you would have seen him get low enough for the assassination or the finish off by Evi. But because he was outside the range of the Xin ultimate, you can see he was actually blocking the tick damage. So
that is a really cool combo. Like, it doesn't come up that often, Lilia Urgot, I feel like. But like, such a long-range potential kill that you could get just from Steel confidently invading. And it makes sense why, right? There's complete control of the top side, or really every lane at this point for Detonation. FocusMe, you don't have to be shy about walking in and stealing the enemy red buff. You do have to be careful under the enemy towers, though, Evi. A little bit bold there. Is going to have to flash away.
Yeah, nicely done though by Liang, defending his turret, getting the flash out of Evi, denying some of that playmaking potential. Just getting a little overconfident there, I think, on the Urgot. Without your ultimate, your actual all-in threat drops significantly. Plus, allowing Liang to land some Qs underneath the turret means that you can't trade back onto him, and at that point, you've taken too much damage to seriously push him off of you. So, lose the flash there by Evi. Not the end of the world, but just a slight bit of an ego check potentially. Liang saying like, no, you're not that far ahead of me that you can just ignore me in front of a turret.
Well, I feel like if history is any indicator, the next time we see that happening, Evie's going to solo kill him. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah, you hope Leon doesn't get baited by like, hey, I won that trade. Maybe I can fight him now. It's like, no.
Types in alt chat, alt back, by the way.
Yeah.
Actually, it's almost back up. As Detonation FocusMe are going to start this second Dragon, just really trying to shut out any options Beyond Gaming have in the early game. This is not a Drake you can realistically contest for. You are still behind, actually approaching 6,000 gold now, and no towers have even been finished up. There's definitely some damage done to plates, although that has, of course, now faded, given that we are past the 15-minute mark, but it's going to be tough here. I mean, the first Rift Tower went mid, got some plates. The first time you lose a tower, you're going to lose even more gold.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's a bunch of standing gold on the map just waiting to be taken, and DFM have not really tried, it feels like, to focus on the turrets. There's been jungle invades, there's been some rotations for kills and stuff, but like at some point they're going to go to Utapon now, who just finished his second item at 15 minutes. They're going to be going and trying to play around him a little bit and start breaking these turrets down, I think. You see Utapon moving up for this next Rift Herald.
Lovely ward as well. I assume by Evie there in the top brush. Finds Husha roaming in for the lane gank. Evie with the teammate now actually is going to be shredding through these minion waves. So now plenty of lane control. Level 11 as well for the Urgot. Highest in the game, tagged with his other solo laner as Arya has also finished Riftmaker. I mean, it's just an embarrassment of Mythics on the Detonation FocusMe side. So they'll start this Herald, and I think as predicted, there will be no contest here for Beyond Gaming. They are just, again, trying to minimize their losses rather than incur more of them, and walking at the enemy is one way to incur more losses.
I mean, I do like the Beyond Gaming attempt there to sneak a kill on Evie in the top lane that you called out that Evie did a good job warding off, but like, if you find that kill on Evie, maybe you can stop that Rift Herald take, and you know, it's the way of attacking an objective, not by actually contesting the objective, but picking off someone before it. And it was a good idea. Didn't end up working out, but at least it shows that Beyond Gaming is thinking proactively. Hey, they're probably going for Rift Herald next. Let's try and find a kill before then. And the worst thing you see is when people just sit on their heels and do nothing, and because they just get shell shocked at how far behind they are.
Absolutely the correct play. As you were saying, like, you do want to try and overload areas of the map when you're at such a disadvantage, but it is tricky in the laning phase, so they did what they could. Unfortunately, the vision control was there for DFM that it didn't work out, but still absolutely the correct play there for Beyond Gaming. They are, again, continuing to try and find angles, but they are conceding territory they basically have to. Like, they're not giving up the game because they want to. They're just like, well, we can't actually fight you right now. So top lane's broken down, mid lane's looking real unhealthy there as well. That gold lead's getting further and further away from them. They're now down officially more than 6,000 gold, but you have to keep holding on. Believe in the power of Doggo's Ezreal. Try and get as much gold as you can before the game, you know, has your Nexus exploit or the Baron get taken.
Yeah, I mean, Ezreal's a champion who does scale very well. And has the ability to individually make plays, and we've seen how good Doggo is at that. But when you're this far behind, not just yourself, behind the pace of the game, if the Urgot's running at you and he's got his played steel caps and a mythic are completed, and it's not quite the mythic yet because he went to Titanic first, but you know, like, you start falling behind and suddenly your skill shots that you're just poking them with is like, instead of doing 10% of their HP is doing 5%, and you need to land twice as many, and it suddenly becomes a lot harder, even if you're landing your skill shots, to have that kind of annoying Ezreal gameplay pattern where you just keep hitting people down low.
Yeah, gold is good Ezreal insurance, as it turns out.
Gold is good in League in general.
Yeah. Doggo gonna get the red buff at least. So again, moving in the right direction, but Detonation FocusMe have almost a full boat of mythics. I guess, as you said, Evie with the stop off there is going to be a little bit delayed, but still plenty strong at 2-0 and 3. Do not discount the power of the Urgot, especially with the ultimate ready to go. Utapon is like rapidly approaching item number 3, has the 3rd Dirk already in inventory. Unfortunately, haven't seen like the Eclipse Ghostblade like get brought to bay yet, because understandably, no one from Beyond Gaming is walking up to Utapon and seeing what happens, because they know what happens, they'll die.
Yeah, I think DFM, I thought they were just going to keep crashing bot lane and focus on that. I think the way that they've actually approached it is pretty smart. They've been spreading around their resources. And so while Utapon is super far ahead, they don't feel like they need to play around him. As you see, Arya getting bot lane turret done by himself. We saw some of the invades and the topside plays and stuff and where the Rift Heralds were going. So they're moving Utapon around, but they're not just tunneling on their one win condition.
Again, as you've called out already, playing more of that 1-3-1. Now collapsing in the enemy jungle. Looking for it now, a steal. That's a very nice Lilia ulti finding 2. Husha gonna have to ulti, but the ball time is there. See you later, Husha. See you later, Silas. It's a double kill for steal.
Yeah, looking really good on this Lilia by Steel, and showing a lot of these synergies that, you know, didn't jump off the champ select to me. You know, you hit on the long range snipe potential with the sleep into the Urgot ultimate, but then there as well, the ultimate by Udapon doesn't break sleep because it counts as a dot, and so you're able to layer that on top of sleeping targets, chunk them down low before you reawaken them. And by the time Moen came out of the sleep, he was at 25% HP, gets finished off. So a couple really cool synergies and just so much follow-up potential. Like everyone except Arya, you would argue, has the ability to contribute to whoever's asleep from distance. Even the gang ultimate on Leona can be shot from pretty far away.
Yeah, and Akali probably has enough gap closers to make it over there.
No, you're 3,000 units away. Don't mind me.
Yeah, I mean, without her original ult one, it's a little bit trickier to close as much distance, but if your target's asleep, you're probably going to make it in time. As the second dragon does get picked up for Detonation FocusMe, it is Infernal Rift, which I feel like feels amazing for given like the state of the game and a lot of the combos you can set up here, because all you really want is like more access to, you know, your enemy's secondary turrets in their base, and Infernal Rift opens it right up.
Yeah, more bowling lanes for Lilia, you know? A lot harder to hit a gutter ball now.
Yeah, still hasn't missed many. As Evie level 13. Oh my god, Kino, I'm so afraid for you. You do have teammates, but like, yeah, Evie's no, it's like there's a level 8 Amumu there. There is no way you are the only person here.
Oh god, I respect Evie's self-control there. You show me that Amumu, and I'm like, even if your team is here, dude, I think I'm gonna kill you before they show up. And with this flash up too, I mean, Evie, knowing how important this game is, showing the restraint that he probably should have. I don't know how many other players would have backed and been let that Amumu waddle out of there.
Not me. I'm 100% trading every time because the Amumu is definitely dead. Yeah, but I am also probably dead.
You might be. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sad we'll never get to know. But
like I said, very important match though for DFM here. If they win this game, they put themselves at 3-1, and that means depending on how the Cloud9 match goes, if Cloud9 drops a game to Unicorns of Love after this, you're actually in a tiebreak situation. They can potentially grab first place, and then if you win that tiebreaker, you are auto qualified. So this is a very important match for DFM to be able to grab that. Beyond Gaming, it basically locks them into 4th place, I believe, and it just puts it into that situation where if Unicorns of Love win, then you have to defend your 4th place spot because they could have that tiebreaker going as well.
Yeah, but I guess even like the worst case scenario if they win here is that they get 2nd, right? Which is still pretty good.
Feels a lot better to be in the winner side of the bracket.
Definitely, as Gang does get things started with a solar flare. But follow-up there for Arya's coming through. Husha's just deleted there by Evie at the end of it all. Great little stopwatch there. Nice follow-up there. Beyond Gaming are going to get themselves on the board, but Kino does use the ulti, but is still dead. Evie's got a double kill on for the Penta. Here we go. But Gang is getting ripped to pieces. Doggo's starting to come alive. Evie gets in there. Gets the flash spear follow-up after the ulti. A triple kill out of the Urgot, but Doggo's still kicking.
Doggo was able to stay alive throughout that. Kite back pretty well. 3 for 3 by the teams there, and almost looked like it could have gotten a little bit better for Beyond Gaming even, excuse me. You know, Evie had a nice flash ult to get the fear onto Doggo to stop him from snowballing even harder. But here you can see Husha does a good job kind of splitting the fight and acting as just a big meatball, which allows, while he dies, they can focus on Arya and get him low enough that he dies coming out of that stopwatch. And then here, the rest of DFM is kind of funneling in, trying to make it in there. And this entire time, Doggo is just plunking away at people. Evie there gets the kill here, and you see the flash follow-up to try and get the fear stun on Doggo and kill him, but the cleanse E over the wall means that they're able to stay alive there. And a 3 for 3 at this point for Beyond, not that bad.
No, that's exactly what you're after, right? You're just trying to find a way to get gold. You got 2 different shutdowns, I believe, there with Udapon and Arya both taking deaths. So, I mean, it's, you know, not the biggest chunk out of the mountain of gold that Detonation FocusMe has built up, but that's really all you could ask for is Doggo getting some gold. He now has 2 items ready to go. He's got the transform finished up as well. Yes, you're still woefully behind because Detonation FocusMe have done such a good job getting ahead, but if this game continues to elongate, if they keep trading into you,
yeah, I was going to say, it's still tough. I mean, Doggo's the richest member on his team at 8,800 gold, basically. But he was behind every other member of DFM except Gang.
So you're going to say including
Your
Gang.
Strongest, no, you're not quite that weak. But yeah, you can just see how far ahead these members are. Over 10k gold there already for Evie in an extremely strong position. Unfortunately, they didn't get the shutdown on him.
Yeah, he is 503, worth an extra 550 right now. Does have his mythic completed, so he is full-on bruiser mode. In fact, he's not even fighting, just going for the split push. Does have the TP. Rest of this team is grouping together as 4, so breaking up the 1-3-1 because of teleport cooldowns. But Evie is such a threat. I mean, you're seeing how many people are even just pushing towards this side of the map. It can't just be Liang that goes down the fight 1v1 because you're not going to win. You have to at least threaten that somebody else is there, if not 2 other people.
It's it's tough to try and contain all the threats of DFM. I mean, even Steel at this point at 305, 2 items completed, working on his 3rd. He'll carry fights. You know, you can't ignore him even. He was one of the 2 members still alive at the tail end of that one you saw. Pretty threatening. And that was not the cleanest turn by DFM, like we said. You know, that's one where Beyond feels pretty good about it, but DFM could have played that much better.
Yeah. We talked about how, you know, how much cool, like, long-range initiation they have with the Lilia and all the setup. The downside being that if that happens, you know, you're a screen away from following up on the
so
Lilia
the funny thing
ulti.
was, you're talking about how only one of them needs to really gap close.
Yeah.
That's Arya.
Yeah.
And guess who's the one way ahead of his team getting separated? The one with all the
Arya's
gap
like, watch
closers.
this. Oh, wait. Too far forward. Alrighty, well, Dragon's back up. This will be the 3rd for DFM if they want to grab it, but it does feel like Baron is a bit more of the prize the teams are after right now. Beyond Gaming, of course, still playing defense, but Doggo with the blue buff, shooting down the minions is going to make it challenging. Detonation, FocusMe, though, have basically zoned all of this vision now. This is all permanent for them. They'll be taking over this little block, and Steel's going to go ahead and grab this Drake and give the team sword point in case they needed more advantages.
Yeah, good job keeping the objective snowball going. In case you can't close it out without it, you know. But there's not much Beyond can do in terms of contesting where DFM is. Need to try and find these pickoffs, but with Infernal Map and how good the vision control has been for DFM, there hasn't really been too many times where the area that they're focusing is not properly warded. So there you see, okay, we're getting Dragon next. They already have a pink in the enemy side of the blue buff camp. They have one over the wall going from mid lane down there. They basically knew that that was an uncontested situation. I expect here with the resets coming through, you see Leona already working her way up to the top side. They're going to start poking. There you see perfect timing. Assist me ping going down exactly where they want to get their vision next. This is a team that's working extremely well together right now.
Oh, Chainsaw done as well for Evie. So 3 items now. Fully complete for the Urgot. We're working on the zombies for Arya after he broke the stopwatch in the earlier fight that got him killed. But Baron is, of course, the target. And it will start by getting that control ward down. There is one in the back for Beyond, so no need to panic for them. They have full vision right now, but after Uniform pushes out this wave, that's a very easy ward for them to clear it if they want. And it looks like Steel is going to hop over and maybe get that done.
Yep, Arya just coming to make sure that they can get this vision control. Now heading down to collect the wave. Aatrox just finished pushing in, and they're setting up their 1-3-1. Evie on the top side, this is the correct lane setup because Evie is closer to the objective you're trying to focus down, and as a better frontliner / engage tool, you want him closer to the fight.
In goes Gang once again. Moen the target. Husha trying to run interference in the backline. Unicorn though untouched, shredding them to absolute bits. There goes into stasis, but Steel, a 2-man sleep on the back of the play. The Sulfur down as well, stolen though, and dodges Kino, gets himself stunned. Davey dominating, finds the follow-up fear onto Liang, and Detonation FocusMe finally found the engage they were looking for last time. Although Beyond Gaming are fighting, Steel does get the kill. That bullet time, absolutely absurd out of Unipon. Moen barely lives through it, and Detonation FocusMe take a clean 3-0 fight.
Well done by Detonation FocusMe. Evie roaming down from the top side, getting in range for that fight. The TP flanked by Arya. They converge onto Beyond Gaming. Able to find 3 kills. Baron buff looking pretty free at the tail end of that.
Alrighty, well, Baron is indeed going to be pretty well earned here by Detonation FocusMe. Nice and easy there for them. Again, this game has been going in the upward trajectory for them for quite a while, and it's finally up and to the right here as they will be very close to crossing 10k ahead. Not quite yet, but this Red Bull Baron power play should make short work of that, you know, pretty standard gold lead in a moment.
Yeah, we'll have to see how well they can use this from here. We'll take another look at how they get this Baron buff first. And here, like I was saying, have Evie roaming down from the top side. They didn't see that he had made that rotation, was that close to this fight because of the good vision control that they got right before this. And so you see Husha basically has to go in to try and split the fight. Steel does a good job setting up their later targets. They already knew they had to kill on Husha, so Steel is instead landing his Q and ultimate onto the other members, which allows the snipe by Evie. That combination coming through again, and then him being able to set up the next couple kills, getting the flash fear follow onto Liang. well done there. And then this ultimate by Udapon, I actually like a lot because Doggo started getting a number of people low, and he was relatively full health at that point. Maybe he starts getting the chase down sequence going, but just because the ultimate from Udapon chunked him so low, Doggo had to give up on any potential kills.
Yep, Aria's commitment pretty solid there at the end of it all. Also wasn't needed as it turns out.
I feel bad for Doggo seeing that damage, dumber. It's like he's got to do like 4,600 damage or something like that. He's like, anyone, please help me get some more damage and start getting kills.
Instead, it is just more sieging here for Detonation. FocusMe, they're going to go ahead and take down just about everything in front of them. Again, very easy for them to take down these towers. Still plenty of time left on the Baron, a minute 40 or so to try and cut down at least one inhibitor tower with, but obviously they're looking for more. I think 2 inhibs here would feel excellent, but Detonation FocusMe don't have to do that much. Oh, Doggo. He has cleanse. Oh, no, he doesn't. Kino, actually, goodbye! Oh, no! Evie just puts him in the Vinavix. Make it 2 there as Evie. Very well earned godlike status there as he grabs the double and picks off Husha. And now Ezreal's going to put to sleep. Doggo is going to have to cleanse it up. Aria, though, trying to find an assassination in the backline. Detonation FocusMe. They're just ignoring the tower. Finally, Udapon guides the wave in, knocks it down, inhibitor exposed. But once again, Beyond Gaming find themselves down 2 people.
All right, well, there you go. Looking like it's going to be a W for DFM, ending the group at 3-1 after a slightly disappointing start to their play-in stage. They rally back very hard, dominate Beyond Gaming in this matchup, and looking really good, too, doing it. They have so many unique champions and stuff, as I might be getting ahead of myself.
All right, well, not done just yet, but it does look good.
I was doing the wrap-up speech.
I was ready. I liked it. Detonation FocusMe going to have to leave the area there, but that's all right. Dragon Soul's up, by the way. 10 seconds until that. They'll just fall back there, no problem.
I hope they lose now. I was already crowning them, and then they don't end the game.
Blue buff for steal. I mean, if you're gaming, like, I guess we have to fight you, and Udapon's like, you sure? Kino just gets erased, and there's another nice follow-up. Gang again, don't miss. Evie with the long range. Blend takes down Husha, goes legendary. Aria takes Jet Liang as an afterthought. And Detonation FocusMe like, oh, okay, maybe we can end the game.
Oh, I feel so bad for Kino, dude.
Yep.
Great screen simulator all the time on Amumu.
That's it's rough out there. As you said, definitely a champion where when you fall behind it, it's very tough to stay ahead. You don't have some sort of like personal steroids to keep you tankier. It's just Aftershock and against 4-item Misfortune at level 16. That is not good enough. As Detonation FocusMe, I think finally going to be doing what Mark said in the same breath. I will add, it just was kind of a long one, and it's just an absolute shellacking. Here's Evie, continues to be legendary. They're shredding everyone. No kills will be given over. Husha back in time to get aced. Does escape it. Detonation FocusMe will finish 3-1.
There we go. Detonation FocusMe, just like I was saying, 3-1 in the group stage, bouncing back after a bit of a rough start. But you get to see why they were so hyped up coming into playing stage now. They have really unique champion picks. They can get individual leads. A lot of this game came down to just 1v1 outplays and out trading in both their solo lanes, in the bot lane as well. And then you get to see the team communication. They're so on point with their teleports. As soon as they get an advantage, they do a good job of transferring that play around the map. And then pretty clean from there on out. Not many mistakes to really point at that Beyond Gaming could have exploited.
Yeah, to be honest at this point, like I know what their record is. I'm pretty confident. I've watched the game. I might have even cast the game. I genuinely don't remember how they lost.